Hi everybody. May we present the brand spanking new and innovative Brainworx BX-XL, a low latency MS mastering limiter that can easily make your music as loud as any other major production you hear on the radio or on CD, but much less squashed and distorted as most of them. It is designed to help you make your music compete with the best that is out there and has all the features that you need to help your music sound as amazing as the music you hear in the charts. Many solo features for ultimate control and precision, input gain and individual pan for the mid and side signals, stereo width control, a mono maker, multiple level meters to control correlation, balance, loudness, and the MS ratio, as well as the low and high ratio. The secret behind the BX-XL lies in the MS matrix that splits your master into a mid and a side signal that you can then treat separately. The mid signal is separated into two bands with a crossover frequency slider, and after the three separate signals have joined together again at the end of the chain, the signal runs through a fourth brick wall peak stop limiter. The best thing to tackle this beast is to open it and start working with it, so let's have a look. So, this is the BX-XL in its default setting when you open it fresh in the session. And this is the session that I'm working on right behind it. So let's get into mastering. Now the first thing you should do with the BX-XL is set the incoming music to the loudest possible level without limiting or compressing it. The controls you're looking for to do that with are on the right side in the input section and control the input gain. Turn up those input gain controls until the peak meters of the stereo main LEDs hit 0 on peaks and only on peaks, so it doesn't compress the rest of the song. In this case, the mix is already pretty powerful, so we don't have to push it too much, only a tad. Coincidentally, if you've done this correctly, the mid-high signal will most likely hit the max gain ceiling on the mid-high channel. This means that the mid-high channel limiter is just working. Then, if you wish so, you can use the master out to turn your overall master output down by in between -0.2 dB and -0.5 dB if desired. Many mastering studios do so in order to avoid clippings at CD project crossfades, for example. The next buttons you should know in order to facilitate your workflow with the BX-XL are the solo buttons. There is a variety of solo buttons you can press in order to exactly hear what you're doing with the plugin. You can solo the left channel, the right channel, the mid section, the side section, the side chain, which I'm going to talk about a little later, and you can choose to have the auto solo button activated. This is a very useful feature as it automatically solos the channel that I'm working on as soon as I press a button in that channel. So when I, for example, press the gain boost of the mid-high section, it solos that section and I can hear what I'm doing. It does the same with the mid-low section. And of course, with the side section. This makes working with the BX-XL very easy. So, let's get down to mastering. First, I'm going to open the edit window and select the part of the song that has a lot of peaks and is very loud. And then I'm going to put Pro Tools into loop play so I have continuous playback of that part of the song. The first section that I'm going to deal with now is on the bottom left side of the plugin and holds the crossover frequency, mid, low, high, and the mono maker faders. The mono maker will cut away low-end frequencies only in the side signal to make your mix mono below that frequency. At the same time, the mono maker automatically compensates for the overall loss of low-end sound in the mid signal so your mix does not lose any bass. You can test this and adjust it to your liking, but for this example, I like it at 60 Hz. Of course, if you want to bring it up and find out what it does, you can crank it all the way up. But let's bring it down to 60 or just above for this example. With the crossover frequency slider, you determine at which frequency BX-XL will split the mid signal into two bands, mid-low and mid-high. Everything above the selected frequency will go into the mid-high section, everything below that into the mid-low section. If you split the mid signal rather low, you can separate the bass drum from the rest of the mono information and limit it different than the rest. Next, I'm going to activate the fader link in certain channels. The fader link will link the gain boost fader and the threshold fader so that both of them move in relation to each other. So when I push the gain boost in the mid-low section, the threshold fader will move accordingly. If I turn the fader link off, only the button I move will be affected. The next control is the Master XL. The XL knob allows you to further push the signal and add some warmth by the application of smooth third and fifth order harmonics. Using the XL feature will let your mix sound way louder without really altering the actual audio level too much. This way you can achieve mixes that seem to be louder than they actually are. The Master XL control controls all the XL controls of the individual sections. XL settings up to 50% should be okay to be used with any material with no problems to be expected. Higher settings might work only in the mid-low and the sidechain. Next, I'm going to start pushing the gain in the individual sections, and I'm going to start with the mid-high section. Using the gain boost faders internally drives the respective channel into the limiter. The hotter you drive that channel, the more gain reduction will be applied when the channel hits the ceiling set by the threshold. So I'm going to bring this one up to here, and then I'll bring down the threshold fader to adjust the peak level upon which the limiter will start working. For now, I'm going to use a very gentle setting for the mid-high section so I don't compress the vocals too much. The next section I'm going to do that with is the side section. And as you can see below, the fader link is activated. So when I push the gain boost, the threshold will react automatically. But because of the dynamic nature of the side in this song, I realized that the threshold doesn't go as low as I want it to, so I deactivate the fader link and bring the threshold down. Driving the side section into the limiter and making it louder will result in the effect that the sound will sound wider. You can hear what even a small amount of gain boost has done to the stereo image when I deactivate the side limiter by pressing on the active button. When I turn it back on, you can hear that it sounds slightly wider. It's very important in mastering to give the song enough oomph and low frequency. So if I want to push the kick drum and the bass, I can go into the mid-low section and push the gain boost there. And go really low with the threshold so it picks up all the punch in the song. And suddenly, after only a few adjustments and not even 10 minutes on the mix, it starts to sound louder and fuller than it was before. But let's not forget the sidechain mix slider. The sidechain mix slider will mix together a signal that will serve as a triggering signal for any of the 3 channels in the BXXL. In this case, I want to blend a bit of the mid signal into the S signal. This would give me a combination of all of my stereo guitar or keyboard sounds from my mix with a bit of bass drum and snare peaks added. If I then use this signal to trigger my S channel, the S channel limiter will react on the peaks of the bass drum and snare to make my music groove with the beats of the track. This is another one of these pro mastering tricks that are not commonly known, but that are very easy to do with the BXXL. Now, just in case I want to change something with the gain boost, I'm going to turn on the fader link here and here. And the last thing I'm gonna do is widen the song even more with the stereo width control. Not too much, maybe just 0.8 dB, just to make it sound a bit bigger. And what you end up with is a master that is loud, clear, transparent, but screams out of the radio like a hit single. Let's listen to it, and let me turn it on and off a couple of times. You can see in the channel meter that when the plugin is on, the limiter exactly limits it to -5 dB. When I turn the plugin off, you can see that the channel is peaking at times and has a greater dynamic range. So I'll turn the plugin back on and enjoy a fine master that we have done in under 10 minutes. Great! Now at the top of the plugin window, you have 4 meters that will help you make your master even better and more precise. From the left to the right, you have the mid-low, mid-high meter, the mid-side meter, the correlation meter, and the balance meter. Now last but not least, you have the mid and the side pannings. If you're confronted with uneven, unbalanced mixes, you can correct those balances with the mid and the side panning. Without affecting the side channels, you can move the kick drum, the snare drum, the bass, the vocals, or anything that is in the midsection all the way to the left, or all the way to the right. Of course, you don't have to do it in that extreme, but you can use it to correct an uneven mix. You can of course also tilt the side signal from one side to the other. If you're unsure, the balance meter and the RMS level LEDs are a good reference. All of those functions are very intuitive and they're up to your taste. You can adjust the attack of the limiters as well as the release. You can play around with the gain boosts, with the sides, with the widening of the track. Just do what you feel like and approach the master that you've always wanted to have. Just always remember, the less dynamic range your mix has, the louder it will sound, but the more squashed it will also be. So don't destroy your music, trust your ears, and stop at a reasonable level. If you want to check out the BXXL for yourself, you can go online to www.brainworx-music.de, download the manual and the plugin there, test them for 14 days without any restrictions or limitations, and find out how easy the BXXL makes it for you to get completely professional results. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, hope you have a great time mixing and mastering. Bye-bye.